So it's week 7. We're going to do our regular inspection. We've had apivar strips in here for 6 weeks. So I'm going to pull them out. And I'm going to look for my queen because I'm going to do a mite check using alcohol wash. Before I start that, I just want to mention a few people have been asking about moisture in the hives. It's crappy spring. We've had cold, wet days, cold, wet nights, and our bee population is increasing and creating heat in the hive. Cold outside, that creates condensation, and people have had problems with moisture and mold. I did too. Simple trick, because we don't want to use our second entrance yet because we're still feeding. We don't want robbing. You can just shim your outer cover, your inner cover with a couple nickels, even popsicle sticks, anything. Just put like an 1/8 of an inch gap. It lets air flow through. I like my little trick. I use electrical staples on my inner cover. Just make sure they're not so thick that they stick through, and that keeps a little shim and keeps a little airflow. I'm not using this now because I don't really want this opening, but anything like that, anything to do a little bit of an airflow helps. I've also opened up my entrance to the second size up this week. That'll let a little more airflow through and help out with moisture and mold and mildew. So we're going to do a mite check this week. This is my mite check kit, and I keep it with me every inspection I do, every hive I have it. If I'm in a strong hive that I want to do a mite check on, I have it ready to go. If I find my queen, I'm not spending hours looking for my queen, but if I do find her, I have this ready. It's a Tupperware container about the same size as a frame. Alcohol. I use a funnel because I can reuse my alcohol by straining it through a paper towel after. A Varroa Easy Check cup filled up with alcohol to the bottom of the cup, and a half cup measuring cup for scooping out 300 bees. So I always have this, and that way if I find a queen and I want to do a check, it's easy. I don't have to run and get it. But you have to find your queen. You cannot do an alcohol check without knowing where your queen is. You can't be pretty sure. You can't be, almost positive she's not there, because if you can't find your queen on a frame where she's supposed to be, there's no way you can tell if there's a queen in this bucket when you're going to do an alcohol wash. So unless you know where she is, don't do an alcohol wash. We all make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes every day doing this stuff, but mistakenly killing your queen in an alcohol wash is not something I'm going to have sympathy for, because it's totally avoidable. So unless you know where your queen is, don't do a wash. So anyway, we're going to do a regular inspection. Maybe move some frames around, maybe not. We're going to find our queen, and we're going to find a frame of brood that's great for doing a mite check. You want a frame that's got a lot of big larvae, that have a lot of nurse bees. That's where the mites hang out, and that's a great one to test because it's the nurse bees. We've got a 2-gallon on here now. Yes, they have not taken it all. So that was a good move to switch to 2 gallons. I'm going to go through my top. It doesn't look like you've done a lot up here. So I'm going to go through top first, see if the queen's up here, make things easy. Nothing there. If there isn't eggs on the frame and not a lot of drawn out comb, I don't spend a lot of time looking for the queen. It's not likely that she'd be there, although anything is possible with bees. Never completely predictable. Doesn't look like we'll be doing any frame manipulation because they have not worked up here. I'm hurrying along. I will spray these frames later with sugar water just to keep them happy. But nothing going on. So I would bet she's down the bottom. But she's got nothing to do up here. We're going to pull these Apivar strips. We put them in week 1. It's now week 7. So they are done. Population is increasing. That's good. Brood on this outside frame. Not likely that the queen's on the outside, or as likely. That's why we pull those frames first. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking, but it's not impossible. They're filling in a lot of honey. There's eggs and some empty cells there. Doubtful it should be on this frame. She doesn't really have places to lay. So we're going to put that one back. Here's large larva. This would be a great frame to shake for a mite check. See the larva and all these nurse bees. There's not a ton of bees on this frame. There's all eggs on this side. So there's a good possibility the queen could be on this one, but I don't see so many bees. So I'm going to go by this one. We're going to go to the next one. There's a queen right in the middle, and she's laying an egg as we speak. Oh, she popped out. Did you get her, Austin?
No, I'm not sure.
Not sure. So anyway, we know where our queen is. So what we're going to do is put her right over here in the top. That way she's safe from us. Now we're going to find a frame, a brood, that we want to do our shake. Look where that's where the Apivar strip was hanging. This has got a lot of small, large larva, small larva, eggs on the outside. Not a bad frame. Same thing on this side. Let me see if I can find a frame with more bees on it. This is more of a honey frame. They're filling it in. I could push this to the outside. Was that the one? No, that wasn't the right one. That's the one we could use. Where was that honey frame I just had? Is it that one? Oh, yeah, you're right. Same way with this, mostly pollen. I like this one right here. So, when we do our check, we want to get these need more than one hand. We'll put that on so tight. Alright, so we know our queen's safe. So we're going to give this a couple quick shakes into our Tupperware. Set that back in here. Now foragers will fly away, but nurse bees are dopey. They stick around. Scoop them up, get a half a cup. We're going to go in our wash, cap that off. And one shake. That's roughly 300 bees, and yes, we just killed them. But it's important to test for it. I tell people if they think of the hive as a superorganism, think of this as like a biopsy, and you're just killing a few cells to save the whole superorganism. So right now I could set this aside finish up my inspection, put it away. But I have to add alcohol to top this off. And if I wasn't doing a video, that's what I would do, put this away and do it later. So you basically want to cover the, why is my hand shaking so bad? Cover the top of the bees with alcohol. Put your cap back on. And you give this a shake for a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. The longer the better. You want to really give them a good shake. So yeah, normally I would set this aside, put my hive back together, shake this later on the porch. This is really early. We've treated with Apivar. I don't expect to see mites in the bottom of this, but it's always good to check. Basically, if you have 0 mites in the bottom of this at the end of your check, you're in good shape. Doesn't mean there's 0 mites in your hive, but it means your percentages are way down low. If you have 1 or 2, doesn't mean you have a terrible problem, but it's something that you're going to want to continue to check. If you have 3 or 4 at this stage of the game, and you didn't treat, you got to treat with something. Judging on your circumstances and the time of year, you got to just make a decision on what you're going to treat with. That's the scoop with that. I know I haven't shaken this for a minute and a half, just for the video's sake. We're gonna just take a peek, but and I'll continue to shake this later. So now you just hold it up with your glasses on or a magnifying glass, and you look at the bottom for any mites that would settle down. They're about the size of a head of a pin. They're reddish brown, and if you look real close, you can see the legs off sticking out on one side. There is nothing right now. You know, don't mistake a bee part for a mite and get nervous. Sometimes you'll see a stinger or a leg or something. So anyway, not much else I can show you with the hive, so I'm not going to video. We're just going to put things back together, feed them up with pollen patty and sugar water, and continue on for another week. This spring is slow. Last year at 7 weeks, I was almost ready to put a super on. This year they're not working the frames as much. It's just in a terrible weather. So anyway, that's the scoop, and we'll see you next week.